Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Amigos, the podcast about everything Amiga. Amigos is a proud member of the Throwback Network, your home for quality retro podcasts. And now, here are your hosts, Aaron Dowdy and John Bodovkar Schaller.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to talk about Assassin and Assassin Special Edition.
All right.
But before we get into the assassinating, we're going to open some mail. We got a nice package. This package came from one Mark McDonald, otherwise known as Tapes from the Crypt.
Sorry, not that.
Yeah, he did not send us the Smurf. He actually sent us this big cardboard
This
box.
is from Tapes from the Crypt.
Tapes
my
from the
good
Crypt
and dear
sent this.
friend.
Yeah.
My brother in magnetic media. I'm ashamed that I threw all those videotapes away, for real. And I'm ashamed because I look over what he does on Twitter. I'm just like, I suck.
You still miss your big collection of VHS tapes?
Let me put it this way. I just lent out the VCR yesterday to a buddy.
Oh.
He's like, how many tapes you got for this? I was like, not that many. I had so many. You know?
What did you keep?
Family video. There's a video of me and a couple of my friends singing Blister in the Sun at Kings Island. I kept that. I kept the, that's about it. I mean, some Simpsons tapes that I had, some pinball stuff I had, not that much. And you saw my tape collection.
Yeah.
It was freaking
It was
mammoth.
massive. Yeah.
So tapes, not only thank you for whatever this is, but I apologize on behalf of the videotape collecting universe, because I threw away some good stuff. It's a bummer.
Yeah. All right, tear
Should we
this
open
thing.
it? And now you have no idea what this is.
Well, I know what it is because he asked me if we wanted it, and I said yes, we do.
Ooh, it's an Amiga 1200 box. Let's see what's in here. Can you, yeah, thank you. Oh man, that's a toughie, eh? All right, here. That's always a good sign. You got the Amiga 1200 on there. Let's see
Very
what this
slick.
is. It says something here, but okay, let's see what this is here. All right, we've got a manual of some sort here. Oh, I can see what this is. Oh my, so you've got this manual here. You want to look at that?
Yeah, so this is the A1200.net Amiga 1200 case that was the Kickstarter that we talked about from episodes 3 to 89.
This and,
yeah.
and this and Defender of the Crown.
Yeah.
He said it's this lovely Amiga
Oh, wow.
mug.
That
Isn't that
thing is
nice?
sweet.
I guess you probably get to keep that, but
Well, I am the coffee drinker.
and also you don't have an Amiga 1200.
Yeah.
And this, look at this. I will be the coolest dude in all the land with this black Amiga case.
That looks
Holy,
super awesome.
Let's remove this from its plastic here. I'm going to violate all warranties here. Look at that, sir. Holy moly. That is gorgeous. Now, these are the cases that were Kickstarter, like you said, and I've got to say, they did a tremendous job. Look at that. You would swear on your uncle's grave that's a straight up
Yeah, let me
Amiga
hold
case.
that.
Have a look at that.
That feels exactly like the one that we ordered for the House 500.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and but the thing about this one is that it's got all the extra ports.
Oh yeah, I forgot
you
about
can-
the extra
yeah,
ports.
yeah.
Ooh, snap. Now look at these ports here. Are there actually extra ports back here?
I don't know. I just made
You
that up.
made that up? Yeah, that's what I thought.
There's a lot of holes back there, so I just figured.
But
they
the
were
Amiga's
extra
got a lot of
ports.
junk that goes through the holes.
I've never looked at the back of
This
the
is
Amiga.
so nice. Tapes, a good man.
You got your trap door there too.
Got to have that.
Yeah.
I had to buy one of those. I've had to buy two of those now. This is awful nice.
Yeah.
And I've got a badge that'll go right here, a nice metal badge.
I can't wait to
with
see your
another gift.
1200 in there.
That's going to be sweet. Thank you very much. Gosh.
Why don't you leave that right up front?
I will. That is super duper, above and beyond. We appreciate that. Gosh, what can you say? I'm utterly speechless.
Yeah,
That
thank
was
you, Mark.
Super nice.
Huge ups.
And for those that are on the fence about picking up one of these cases, and I'll tell it like it is, that's a solid looking case. I mean, like I said, it looks like a straight up black case that could have been made in 1989 or 90, whenever these things came out. It looks dead on. Gosh, that is great.
Yeah.
Thanks a bunch. And thanks for the mug too.
Yeah, the mug's awesome.
That's
I will drink
awesome,
from
dude.
it regularly.
Oh, you probably will.
All right, Aaron, are you ready to dive into the world of Amiga news
Yes,
this week?
I'm ready, but I got the Gambletron 5000 right here.
All right.
Fire this thing up. So, It wasn't a huge news week, but there was a few items, and I'm going to go off script a little bit on a couple of these. So, I've got to push a great video from our good friends at the Guru Meditation. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch this yet. Have you seen this?
I saw when this rolled by, and it got a lot of action on Twitter.
It did,
I can tell you that.
and it's all over the place. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. They do a piece on Samia Halaby, who is an artist, an 81-year-old lady who does art on her Amiga 1000, and gosh, the guys shot this just like they were documentary makers. I mean,
this looks just as good as the what was that Amiga document? Viva Amiga. This looks just as good as that.
They did a great. I watched and I was just like, man, these guys are the tippity top.
Yeah,
they're way up the list.
I mean, there's us.
No,
and they're just a little bit below us.
and you do, since you do most of our character. I'm not going to bad because you do a good job.
These guys
have skills to pay the bills.
They do. They're awesome.
Our skills make bills.
They are
like the wheel, for example, comes to mind. But this is a really interesting piece too. Normally I'm not an art guy. I know you're stunned, but this was really entertaining, and it's all just this lady talking about her art, and she talks about the Amiga, and she's like, boy, at the end of it, she's like, man, if they made a new Amiga, that'd be great. I'm like, I'm with you, lady. It's nice to see I've got something in common with someone so elderly, but it was great.
Yeah.
And I love the way she has the Amiga. She's got her Amiga on this long like a bookcase. I mean, because she paints all this crazy stuff all over the house, and then when it's time to use the Amiga, she's got this clear plastic that she pulls over.
I mean, I would not want to show my parents many of the Amiga videos that roll by us, but this is one I think that they would get into just because it's a good human interest story.
Yeah, and also like you said, they got a lot of jack, a lot of action with this video, and for once, someone got it right. This is the stuff that needs to be pushed.
Yeah. Because
the Amiga, first and foremost, as it was pitched, was a machine that would make art.
Right.
And lo and behold, and it was neat to see. And she really goes. I mean, this chick's not just some chick that sits there and de-paint. She's programming this stuff. Right out of the gate. So it's pretty cool, pretty neat. Now, this is not news, but it was news to me. So I'm just going to bring it up, and you know what I'm talking about. So. On our sister show, ARG Presents, which I'll plug, a couple weeks ago we did a ColecoVision episode, and we did a game called Smurfs Rescue at Gargamel's Castle. You remember this? Because you're sure it reminds me sort of like a Smurf that's been finally mashed and then spread about. So I was like, there needs to be a cool Smurf game on the Amiga. All right, I don't know why, because I was doing research. And so I looked up Smurf, and sure enough, game pops up. I'm like, this looks pretty good. Little did I know that I'd be going down the rabbit hole here into this crazy controversy that was this Smurf game. So the guy that made this game, it's a little public domain game. It's just like you're a Smurf, you're jumping around. Inexplicably, at one point, you become Minnie Mouse if you watch the gameplay. But it looked good. It looked real nice. I thought this looks pretty good. It sounded good. So anyway, this guy put his game out. He made it on Backbone, and he put it out. And then a day or two later, he got some mail. And the mail was from.
It wasn't an Amiga 1200 case.
No, it was not. It was from Studio Payo, and it was "We're going to murder you" mail. They were suing him, and they were coming after royalties. They were killing this guy, and this guy. And this is all spelled out in the English Amiga board. He was baffled, and everyone else was baffled too at the fact that this guy had made a game, a little nothing happening, free public domain game on a 30-year-old computer that he was getting taken down by the Smurf people. So just the fact that they knew about this is impressive, that they could find out in this small community that the people that own the Smurf rights could come get him. So needless to say, he took down, not only did he take down the Smurf game, and quit all the other stuff he was doing, he completely quit Amiga. He was
wow.
This literally ran him out of the scene. Now this is like several years old, and so I'm sure to a lot of you this is old news. But I couldn't believe I was baffled at the fact that this happened to this poor guy. So if you're out there, pal, please come back. We miss you. And I'm sure Payo by now has moved on to kindergarten walls and and wallpaper in Brazil.
Yeah.
Wherever they're at. But the game actually looks pretty good, and hilariously, through the Wayback Machine, and I actually have it linked. You can still get the game if you really want to play it. You can get there's a hard drive version, and there's also a floppy version. And if you want to go play it. Now, the only other games made for the Amiga that were Smurf related, and sadly I remember this, is a game called Smurf Massacre.
No.
So if you don't like Smurfs or you're angry at the Peyo Corporation,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this was an unlicensed title.
no. He'll do it, yeah. Where's Peyo when you need him? I remember playing this back in the day. There was also another game called Schoolyard Massacre, which is much less funny now than it was back then.
Yeah.
Where you just basically slaughter these Smurfs. This was high comedy. And I remember Barney got the treatment years later. People didn't like Barney, so it was Barney the Slaughter.
Yeah, I remember
Every
that.
once in a while, our society creates something so hated that someone feels the need to have them shot. There you go. But anyway, there's that. Now, we don't have a link to this because it's not really Amiga related, but it is. I noticed in the past week, there's been a lot of rumbling in the stunt car racer department. I saw that it has been ported, I think, to the Atari 8-bits.
That's right.
Got a port, and I believe it just got another port. What was the other one that just came up? It got ported 2 times.
I believe.
Was it? What was the other one? I can't remember. But
Yeah, it definitely got.
If you're in the stunt car racer, and who isn't, right? Because it's super awesome. And I think it's neat that they're porting it after all these years, and it would be interesting to see how it plays, because it plays fine on the 1000. So it should be portable to a lot of different stuff. And the 8-bits, they should be able to do it. Oh, the Jaguar. That's what it was. It got ported to the Jag. The Jag needs every game it can get. So this is a great thing. And unfortunately, I've got no way to play it on the Jag because I've got no way to. The Jag is one of those consoles that really doesn't have an SD card solution at this point, and so I'm boned on that. But still, the fact that they're making something for the Jag, I don't know if they're going to release it on carts or whatever. But that's actually one card I might think about having a look at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
that would
Jag
be a cool
homebrew
thing to
scene's
have.
sort of popping. I mean, in a weird way.
Relatively speaking.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, it can't pop any lower than it did, right?
That's
I mean,
true.
it's popping now, big time. Let's move seamlessly into our site news, and we only have really one thing to talk about this week. But what a thing we've got! Our good and dear friend, the Dream Catcher, as gangster as he wants to be, has put out a RoboCop video. It's not really about RoboCop. It's about eSwap, but it's RoboCopy. And DK actually does he actually speaks. He
does the voiceover in this.
And this is really a nice treat.
Yeah.
I hope he puts more of these things out.
I have a feeling there's more to come from our man Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, because as you know, he's super duper talented, and this is a good video. It's entertaining, and I enjoyed it. I've never played eSwap. Have you ever played that?
No, but it's funny how this could have been one of his. He has this long-running series, Dynamorphs and Zitto, or it's copies of games.
Yes.
I can't say the words because I don't know them. But this is definitely one of those where many ideas were borrowed from the RoboCop series.
Yes, and it is sort of a revelation. And I'm looking at the chat here, and they're down with the clown. Dreamcatcher is sort of a solitary, quiet man, but now
He's coming out of his shell.
That's
just
right.
like the Turtles on tour in '89.
what the hell was that?
You know
The
what I'm talking
Turtles?
about.
You mean like the band?
Do you remember when they did their live action rock music tour, the Coming Out of Their Shells tour?
Well, I mean,
Coming out of our shells.
oh man,
It sounded just like that.
man, I've never hated the Turtles more than now. And you're gonna sing at the end of the show?
That's the song. I just
Holy
gave it away.
smoke! You can see the numbers peeling off into that beautiful boat. Nice. Well, that's all I got. Good Lord.
But yeah, Dreamcatcher actually does speak, and you can hear his sultry tones
That's
in that video.
wow. Me and you have a different definition of sultry.
Hey,
Just like we have a different definition of green.
Everybody
it's the
got
same
their
exact
something.
thing. You ready to go?
Let's go.
What's next?
We're going to talk about Assassin.
Assassin. this is now. Do you remember who suggested Assassin? Vote right off the top of your head. This is another one of our one of our listener suggestions.
Right. I want to say that this is...
Vote springing into action.
Yeah.
He's going to work.
Okay, I just didn't want to say it wrong because I've been wrong before. Adam Battersby, a.k.a. Treyguard.
Adam, I have to say, this is we've had several of these shows now in a row where people have suggested these games.
Right. So again,
because at this point we need all the help we can get.
Adam is a member of the Amigos Game Selection Committee on Patreon, and so he suggested this title.
Yes, and so here we go. We had a look at it. Now, did we like it? Let's find out. So Assassin came out in '92.
It was a good year.
Good year.
I was in 6th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I was 3 years out of high school.
I started playing trombone in '92.
Oh my God! I think Are you still playing it now?
I played it today.
How'd it go?
Went pretty well. I've got a concert on Monday.
Do you ever stand like that dude in the picture you showed me with your legs spread out, the trombone at your side, and a big leather suit?
That's sort of the end game for me. I haven't got there yet, but I'm on my way.
You've got to be super freaking cool to pull that trick.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, what were we doing? Assassin. So the game came out in '92, and this is a Team 17 joint published. Team 17 of Worms fame, of many, many games. They did not develop this particular title, though. That fell upon an outfit called Psionic. We'll get into them in a minute. But again, this shipped on 2 discs. You had a couple guys in here that had done a few interesting things over the years. This was coded by a fellow named David J. Broadhurst. And he was one of the fellows that worked on a couple games we've covered over the past couple years, including Bionic Commando, which I've looked at, and Bubble Bobble. So and Sly Spy. So he had some pretty good titles.
So
in there.
this is an original game, but up until this point, it sounds like he's just done a lot of codes on a lot of ports.
Well, they did some other stuff. He worked for a different outfit before. Psionic was sort of a group that was basically formed. It was just a couple guys that formed. I guess we should go ahead and talk about Psionic now. So Psionic Systems, because they didn't do that much. It was set up by Broadhurst, we just mentioned, and a fellow named Hayden Dalton, and they left Software Creations in '91, which presumably is where they did the other things that we just mentioned. Their first game was a game that later was basically known as Dojo Dan. I looked at Dojo Dan just because I enjoyed the name. And Dojo Dan looks and plays exactly like you would expect. Guy in a gi whooping that butt, platforming around. I found an interview with Hayden, and he mentions that this is it's on his blog, which I recommend if you can find it, and I'll link it. But he said that the startup budget for Psionic was £4,000. Right? Not that much. And they rented an office over a wedding shop in Oldham. Is that the way you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Oldham, yeah. And they said they had no heater cooling, so they burned up in the summer and froze in the winter. So these are starving programmers, basically. So they were around for 3.5 years, and they did 6 titles, which for 3.5 years not bad.
No.
All right. So the 6 titles they did, of course, I mentioned Dojo Dan, and you had both the Assassin games. You had a game called Overdrive, then you had a game called Apache, and then you had Daffy Duck and Hollywood. I think Daffy Duck and Hollywood is a Genesis game. They left the Amiga at the very end and rolled into the Genesis and some console stuff to get some action, because I guess things were going south, and eventually they went out. But they were doing stuff for Team 17, and of course, the way you know that you're doing stuff for Team 17 is when the guy that does your sound effects and music is Alistair Brimble,
Yep,
who rolled into town like a gunslinger. It's like, what do you need? And of course, he's done the Alien Breeds, Body Blows, Super Frog, Agony. He's done a ton of stuff, So if you know anything about music and sound effects in Amiga, you know who he is. So this game ran on the ECS and the OCS. As far as I know, it didn't have any ports. And never appeared anywhere else. According to my research, did you hear it from any other ports of it? It doesn't look like it would appear anywhere else. I mean,
it has an Amiga look
does.
to it.
It absolutely does. It really does. So why don't you discuss what exactly this game is?
Okay. So this is a sort of... lots of people call this game a Strider clone.
Yes.
And they're not wrong.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
You're moving through different environments. You're dispatching bad guys. You've got a weapon of some kind. In the original Assassin game, you've got a boomerang.
Yeah.
In the Assassin Special Edition, they realized it was stupid to have an assassin with a boomerang, so they gave you a gun.
Oh,
like a
we're
proper
gonna
assassin.
have to throw down on that, Mr. Boat. I disagree with you, but
And,
go on.
And so you basically you're moving through all of these different locations. You're on the hunt for this bad guy. You go through, your typical different environments that you find in games like this: forested sections. There's construction site. Different layers of things. And so it's that's the game. I mean, that's what it is. You pick up power-ups. You blow up a lot of stuff. That's it.
So you're right, except for the boomerang part, but we'll get to that. So the original Assassin, all right, has 6 levels, and that's being generous at one of those levels. You start, first of all, you start by being lowered out of a helicopter, which is always great, or some sort of hovering. You got ropes into the woods. You're like here, and he's going. There's been several games where you
Contras like that.
That's right. And then, so in the forest level, and this is where you sort of learn how to control your guy.
Right. It's like a tutorial level almost.
Now, I will say this. With one button, all right, and we've discussed the various problems with that, this guy controls pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a little while to understand exactly how the climbing and the swinging yourself up worked, but once you get it, it's really cool.
It is.
This game gives you a level. Having played Strider on the Amiga, like, this is way better than that. Now, if you're going to go into the Strider on other systems, then that's a debate. But
Right.
in terms of the Amiga, there's no comparison, right? So
It's sort of the Lotus versus Outrun kind of thing,
Right.
where the original game is better than the port.
now, when a guy can fire in all directions, what do we say it's like? It's like Turrican. We say that every time. And so this guy, this guy can throw his at least in this version, he can throw his boomerang straight up, left, right. You can throw the boomerang.
Yeah, it's not quite Turrican.
Right, but I mean, you could literally throw your. But I mean, still, you could throw it any way you want, which is cool. The game is. The levels in this game are incredibly long, especially the first couple. They're really long. I noticed that the last level is really short, and the one before it is annoyingly long. But then they're not as long as the first couple. I think the super long levels. And thankfully, if you get killed, they don't make you start over, because you would be totally screwed. So there are some invisible checkpoints along the way. So in the first level of this game, you're in the forest, and there are also caves that you get into, right? And you encounter, at first you just encounter guys with guns. There'll be guys hanging from trees. But the most annoying characters are the dudes with the dogs. There are these dogs that come up, and they're short, and I hated these stupid dogs. I give a time hitting these darn dogs. Did you have that trouble with the dogs?
Well, the issue is that they don't make ducking and firing an easy maneuver.
Right, that's true.
It is possible. I read things online that said it wasn't, but it definitely is. But you have to hit the down arrow, release the down arrow, and then fire your weapon. You can't just do a quick down shoot.
Right.
And that's annoying.
Yeah, as we move on later on to the special edition, the dogs get phased out. But in the original edition, they had dogs, and then they had like guys that were with the dogs that had guns. And then as you move into the caves, what's every game got to have in caves? They got big old annoying bats. They're all up in you. You're trying to get away from these stupid things. One thing that I like about the game is that aside from the fact the guy can climb up, he can also like go hand over hand and go like grab the roof of things.
He can scale walls with ease.
This guy really is nimble. And again,
He's an assassin.
For the most part, ducking and shooting aside, and really shooting while you're doing this stuff, it's not like a second button would have been great. But what are you gonna do? But the way he travels is really intuitive. I mean, it feels good, and that doesn't always happen. It's not super collection heavy. This is not like a Super Frog. There's stuff out there to get, but everything has a purpose, and so that makes it a little more tolerable. And also, some of the collectibles actually help you, which I'll get into that in a minute. So, just to go over the levels real quick. There's a forest level with the caves. That's the first level. And you're going to see bad guys, and you have bats and dogs. And then every level has a boss. Okay, which well, almost every level. And the first level has this guy, this robotic tank dude. I don't know what. I mean, he's sort of indescribable. He just says it's like a tank bottom. Well, I guess that's sort of a robot melded into it or something.
It's sort of like a what do you call that animal that's half horse and half man?
Minotaur? Or a centaur.
Centaur. It's like a centaur tank.
Okay, that sounds good. And he's got flunkies with him too. You have to play
mealworm guy.
I didn't find him that tough. And then the second level is the construction site. Basically, you go into this place and you had to climb up all these girders, and your guy could walk on like the wire, the cables that hold things up. He can walk on them real stealthily. He's like a more acrobatic Lionheart. He's really could get in there. Lionheart did some of this stuff, but this guy does it better. And on that level, a lot of what you've got on that level are like mines and these round things that shoot bullets in different directions. I mean, really. The bad guys in this are sort of, they're not going to say they're generic, but a lot of it, there's like a lot of mines and stuff that just explodes, and it's not like you're going to be like, man, this has got the best, rogues gallery of our day. It does. It's just got some generic. Did you feel differently? In terms of just your runabout guys, I mean, they're different.
Yeah, they're all different looking.
Yeah.
But they don't move with the greatest of ease like your guy moves.
I thought the dogs are actually probably one of the better bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they were annoying.
Yeah.
So at the end of that level was, I did like this boss. He's this robot. He's this big, huge robot, and he has occasionally he'll just generate this buzzsaw, and it'll spin up, and then he shoots it at you, and you've got to jump around and kind of shoot him. And I thought that was, I thought he was pretty interesting. I mean, I beat him, but it took a while, and of course I had unlimited men, but I mean it was still tough. So then third level, the missile command level, and it's a bunch of caves and underground areas with missiles in them that are just huge missiles. You walk across them. This had acid pits in it, which, and we'll get into this. Well, I'll go and talk about it now. One of the problems of this game is that it had blind jumps, which we've talked about in other games. That's a real hassle.
Well, it does, but this game has a really good mechanic a way around that.
Yeah, catching the wall.
But you can also, and maybe you don't know this,
all right,
but you can hold down and the screen will scroll down to show you what's beyond where you are.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that makes this game, that's one of the things that is really cool
about
this
good.
game.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah. That's awesome. Because what I would start doing is like when I saw something that looked like a dip, I would just crawl down into it and see what it was. That takes longer. Yeah, that's great. The missile command level has some like guys on these seated turrets and some other stuff, but I mean, which those guys are not size appropriate. I guess they've got like midgets or dwarves to man these turrets. I thought it was kind of strange. And the end boss, you have to blow this computer, and the end boss of this level is this it's this weird worm thing that is around the computer. It's like, and you have to basically shoot him. You know what I'm talking about? Did you get that far?
I didn't get that far.
That's pretty much that's about the time where I could get without, but I had to super cheat. I got through the whole game, but I cheated. The next level is this is the weird level, the genetic asylum. All right, this is where I guess they've been doing like mutation experiments, and this is scary if you're in West Virginia. But you had these guys with hypodermic needles chasing you around, trying to stick you.
Everyday occurrance here in Mountain State.
Like a day down gun hunting thing. And then eventually you get underneath the genetic area, and then this is the caves, and there's all kinds of mutants and stuff walking around. That level was pretty bizarre and trippy. And the end guy there was this, and I described them as if you ever watch Futurama. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
I've seen it a couple times.
There's a drink in it called Slurm, and it's generated by this giant worm.
Slug. I remember that episode.
This guy looked sort of like the Slurm creature, and he generated out of his body these silver guys that sort of looked like the dude from Terminator 2. Remember the guy that was like silver, and he could come at you? It looked like those. And you don't fight the worm, the big worm freak slug. You fight the flunkies, and when you kill enough of the flunkies, he dies. And then that's pretty much the end of the end bosses until the very end of the game. Then the fifth level is just called the Midans, how you want to pronounce it. That's his labyrinth.
Or Medan.
And its labyrinth is an annoying pain in the butt where you go aimlessly around like an idiot until you hopefully can get out. That's it. There's no boss. And then the last level, Medean's lair, and you fight him. And did you see the end of this game?
I did see the end of it.
I'm going to spoil this because hey, that's the way it is. But the end level of this, you go up a couple platforms, and there's this tubby guy in a pair of blue jeans and a white shirt.
Right.
He's just walking around. And I was like, who the heck's this guy? So I went up and pummeled him, and he started crying. He runs off the screen. I was like, what the hell was that? Surely that's not the end guy. And then he comes back in like a mech. And the mech is not that tough, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was that hard.
Well, when I was watching the playthrough, he just totally destroyed him almost right off the bat.
And I thought to myself, this is one of the world's largest letdowns. This is the end guy? How did this tubby, bald, fat guy, and God bless him because I'm one, but you don't see me. I don't have a mech. What's happening here? But this is the guy that ruined your life or whatever. You got to go take him out, and then the game just sort of ends. There's an ending picture. Wham bam, Bob's your uncle, done deal. So this game has 3 different levels of play, difficulty levels. I learned early on that if you pick the first level, the easiest one, you get to play 2 levels of the game. That's the end of it. If you pick the second level, you get to play 4 levels of the game. You pick the last one, you can pay them all.
Some of the Double Dragon, I think, is like that, and maybe even one of the Contra games is like that, where you're going along thinking, oh man, I'm going to be able to beat this thing, and then it takes you back to the title screen because you've chosen the wrong difficulty level.
Right. Well, I'm not going to lie, I thought that was lame, to be honest with you. I'm right. And the levels are Rookie, Arcade, and Ultimate. So there's that. So what did you not like about it? Let's go there first.
I think that you can, this game is another textbook example of poor level design on the Amiga platform. The levels are they're like these labyrinths, these leveled labyrinths. Boy, I'm trying to choose the most difficult to pronounce words to describe my feelings. They're very difficult to negotiate.
Yes.
You don't know where you're going. You're not giving. There are voice commands that are like, you'll be going, go left, go right.
If you pick up the little mouth.
Yeah. And it's like, you have like the voice of God telling you what to do, but they're not really that helpful though, because you can go left, but there's like 3 different levels of left that you can go to. So this is a lot like Turrican in that regard, and really a lot like Lionheart, and really a lot like almost every platformer on this system.
I wouldn't lump Lionheart in there, but go ahead.
Oh, I totally would. This is more like Lionheart than any game that we've ever played.
Well,
the only thing that's different is this game actually controls well.
Oh, we had to go there.
What I do like about this game is your guy is animated like nobody's business. He looks great as he's running around. He controls extremely well for, like you said, with a 1-button setup. I mean, I had no problem getting him to do what I wanted him to do. The ducking and shooting thing is a little bit awkward, but once I figured out what to do, I could even do that well. I've got no complaints about the way this game controls. I've got no complaints about the power-up system. It's a little bit strange that if you choose, speaking of the options screen, if you choose the automatic boomerang rather than the manual boomerang lets you choose your power-ups. The automatic one will just say, it's as if the developers of the game were choosing for you. And I'm like, why would I not do that? Because the developers know what's best.
I tried both, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you on a couple things. Again, I don't think it's on the same level as Lionheart, but also, I thought the level design wasn't bad, actually. And the reason,
well, when you've got unlimited lives, to negotiate it.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was clever. I thought the addition of the power up mouth was interesting because especially there were a couple of those where you really need that. We should probably just while we're thinking about it, let me talk about what the different power ups that they had in the game were. So there are boomerang power up capsules. You can get if they're just letters, right? You can have a wider arc when you throw your boomerang. You could have one that makes it more powerful. There's one that makes it go longer and makes it go faster. So that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different power ups. Mm-hmm. Then something else you've got. If you hold your button down and at the bottom of the screen, you'll see these different slots. And you pick these power-ups, and these are like your mega powers, right?
Let me opine.
Oh, please.
This part. Okay, so I think that's okay. Like, that is a way to get around the 1-button limitation without having to resort to the keyboard, using the spacebar or whatever. Right. However, the actual effect of these power-ups is probably one of the most underwhelming things I've ever seen.
It looks cool when he's getting fired up.
He gets fired up, and then he opens his mouth, there's a flash, and it doesn't matter which thing you picked, it's already over. You've already missed it. The mech thing, I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. He's going to get one of these mech suits, and we're going to go to town. No. He releases like one of those little mouser things from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that runs off the screen in the opposite direction of where the enemies are.
You know what I'd hoped for was, you remember when you fill up your magic spells in Golden Axe, and your guy hits the button and there's dragons and crap going on, and flames. It's crazy time.
Right.
In this, the powers can be a bit underwhelming. If you time them correctly, I used them on several of the bosses, and if you time them correctly, they can do a lot of damage. Like, you can go through a boss pretty quick if you have enough of these things built up. But yeah, they're not visually that pleasing, and they're not necessarily useful. You've got the Robo Walker, which is sort of what you were talking about, the little mouser. Then you've got these proximity mines, heat-seeking missiles, which I didn't get those hardly at all. The Flame Path and the Flame Storm. These aren't as cool as they sound. I'm not gonna lie to you. They sound better than they are. Now, the things Bo were talking about to help you get to the level, those were like bonus pickups you can get. You can get energy pickup that gives you more health. You can get extra life. You can get speech aid. They look like a little mouth. And at first, I was like, what in God's name is that? And then once you get it, it will tell you which way to go in the level. Which, I mean, in the labyrinth level, that got me through it. I mean, I don't care how many lives you got. I mean, that thing was crazy. And there ain't no map. You're on your own.
But you were just praising the level design just a second ago.
Well, it's a labyrinth, dude. What do you want?
I want not that. I want not a labyrinth.
Listen, we can agree on one thing. The old labyrinth level is a cop-out, right? Listen, the game needs to get extended by 20, 30 minutes. How about a labyrinth level? We'll just put a bunch of crap out here. This game also features stars. We should talk about the stars. So, if you get 100 stars, you get extra life. That's pretty much it. If you get 50, you can use it for like a big one of your mega weapons, but it takes some of the stars, so you don't necessarily want to use them that way. It's better to get them. And the stars, one thing the stars do, which again I think this goes back to the level design, is it makes them. They will put stars in places you can go, and sometimes it helps you try to find out where the heck you are. And if anything, it tells you where you've been. So that helps a lot. Overall, though, I enjoyed the game. I was surprised how much I liked it, much like last week's game. I'd heard about this game for years, and I had this game back in the day on disc, but my disc didn't work. I remember that, so I never got to play it. This is really the first time I've got to sit down and play it, and I enjoyed it. I mean, yes, is it perfect? No, it's not.
Yeah,
but it does have some issues. But I mean, overall, I thought it was pretty fun. It was one of the better run around and blow stuff up games that I think we've played.
Yeah, I had fun with it. I think that it's the level design aside. I think that it controls better, and the way that your weapon works, and I could understand the systems better, and didn't feel as cheated as I do with so many of these other types.
Now, did you say you played a version of this that gave you 2-button support?
Well, the WHD load version, it was basically up was assigned to.
Did that help you at all?
Well, I never played it without it, so I'm sure that it did.
I used up for jump, just like I played a standard. By the way, I will say something else. This would not play properly on my 600. And I tried a couple different versions of it, but for whatever reason, I could not diagonally jump forward. It was the darndest thing. I tried all my joysticks. I couldn't figure it out. I asked the brain trust. I don't know what was going on, so I had to emulate this one. It was kind of a bummer, but it plays good. I enjoyed it. When this came out, it got pretty good reviews. It got mostly 80s and 90s. Amiga Action gave it a 91. Amiga Computing gave it an 85, pretty good. Amiga Force was the lone score to 79%, and the One gave it a 92. Not too bad.
No.
I will say this game, if you were playing this like you normally would on Amiga, there are no level codes and there are no saves. You're basically, the manual says there are these hidden continuation points that you can find, but I don't know what they meant, and I'm not sure I ever found one because I was able to save states since I wasn't playing on the Amiga. So your mileage may vary.
I think if you were reviewing this in the Amiga bubble, if you weren't looking at games on other platforms, then this would rate, very high.
Yeah,
very high.
Oh yeah, I recommend it. I really enjoyed it, and the way your guy moved was great.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we're going to move over, because this is a quick and easy jump. We're going to move over to the Assassin Special Edition. All right, this was released in '94, and I looked into this to try to figure out what in God's name was going on with this. And so I don't know how much you looked into it, but I'll try to expostulate. Assassin Special Edition is basically sort of a remixed version. I mean, it's the same exact game with a few exceptions or a few differences. This came out only a few years later in '94, so it was a quick turnaround. And apparently what was happening was Team 17 wanted to release some budget titles. And so what they would do is they would release them with a special edition moniker. The Alien Breed got a special edition. There were a couple games that did this. And what they did was they would go back and actually fix some stuff or change some stuff that players had mentioned. Supposedly. They tried to fix some things, okay? So there are most similarities, but a few differences in this one as opposed to the non-special edition. A lot of the complaints had been that the game was too difficult, and the time in between the levels were too long. And some of those levels are really long. And of course, since there's no save states and no saving the game, you were pretty much hosed if you got killed. So they changed that. And also, apparently, some people were like you, dipsticks, who wanted to get rid of the boomerang, which was awesome. And so they replaced the guy's boomerang with with a gun. Unfortunately, I didn't like the gun as much. And so this was a budget title when it came out. It's the same guys. I mean, there's no one different. It's the exact same outfit. And the differences were just basically like bookkeeping-y. So what happened? So what is the difference in this game? For starters, remember that level with the forest and the caves? That's gone.
They just cut it out completely.
So there's no more arriving on the helicopter. You start in the construction level. Secondly, what they did is they split the levels up into like sub-levels. Now, these are effectively the same levels. I played the whole first game, and I played a bunch of this one. I couldn't sit here and tell you that they're the exact same levels or they're not. Mm-hmm. They look the same, they played the same, but they were split up. They were much easier. The game is much easier than the first one.
Do you think how much of that do you think has to do with the gun rather than the boomerang?
It's nothing. I think they made it easier.
Okay.
I don't think the gun actually does you any favors, to be honest with you. They replaced the boomerang with a gun. They also they gave your guy a makeover. He now has black hair and has a gun. Same guy, except I guess it's the same guy. But they split the levels up. I think it's like in the 4 levels per level. So, and it's funny, in the first game, you'd go through the whole level, you'd get to the boss, you'd beat the boss, end of level. Mm-hmm. Right? In this game, you're rolling along, and all of a sudden there's the exit. It's just like out of nowhere. Like,
right.
What the heck? And it says exit, and then it says good job. It rolls up your bonuses every sub level, and you move on. Kind of weird, kind of anticlimactic. It's like the exit is just in the middle of nothing. It's like, what's going on? I didn't like that. They fixed some bugs, I guess, or whatever. But one of the things you could do in the first game that you couldn't do in this one, at least I couldn't do it. And I don't know if you ever did this, but if you could position yourself on one of those, like a slanted wall, and if you jumped up, you could pass through the wall.
Oh, well, maybe that's more of a bug than a feature.
Sometimes, and it would get you in another spot, and sometimes it wouldn't work, and you would just fall through the geometry and die. Right? You never did this?
No.
I did it, and it was cool.
Yeah.
Because you could sort of cheat. Mm-hmm. You could skip parts by just kind of, pulling yourself through the geometry. I couldn't do that in the second one. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
I guess that's good that they did that. Aside from the changing the levels up, making it easier, booting a whole full level, as far as I could tell, there weren't really any major changes. None. It's the exact same game as far as I could tell. Again, these levels all sort of look the same, so it's hard to say if they moved block here to here or whatever. I couldn't tell the difference in the bad guys. The dogs are gone, the bats are gone. That's all gone. So it's odd that they would. It's a budget title, but I thought that was odd.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And I don't know why they would have done it except to save space to split the levels up in some way. I can't explain it. What did you think about the special edition?
You know, I played a lot of the special edition because I like the gun more than the boomerang. You know, the boomerang is neat in that it's different. There's not a whole lot of games they don't call run and boomerang. It's always run and gun. You know.
Yeah.
I think your guy probably looks a little dopier with his cyber suit and stuff like that.
He does look dopier. I agree with you on that.
But I like the fact that the game sort of dumps you right into the action a little bit more than the first game does. You know, it seems like in the construction zone, you're more in the thick of things than running around in the woods. I found that I felt like the game controlled about the same.
Yep.
You know, I didn't think that there were a lot of differences in the physics. Yeah, I mean. Do you remember, did you already say if this was a budget release?
This was Team 17's budget version of its own game, which apparently they did this several times.
Yeah. So, I mean, if this was like, you know, if I originally bought Assassin, you know, would I felt like I would have gotten my money's worth by buying this again? Well, I guess it just depends on how much I liked Assassin. If I really liked Assassin, this is kind of a different twist on it. Maybe I would have liked it, especially if it was only like $5. So I can't say too many bad things about it.
I didn't like it as much. I like the fact that it's easier. In fact, I'll even give it. I hated the way the levels are split up, but I mean, it makes sense to do it. I just, I mean, if you're not going to remake the game to make the smaller levels make sense, I wouldn't have done it. It just the levels end weird, especially after you play. I mean, I came off just playing the other one, so I mean, I guess if you hadn't played the other one or you hadn't played it for a while, it wouldn't be as weird. I didn't like the gun. I like the fact that you could in the first game you could toss that boomerang, and if you had the long range, you could jump the other way, and the boomerang would come back to you. You could get some guys. I just think the gun's also just it's just more generic. I mean, this guy had a boomerang, man. You know, a gun not as cool. I mean, everyone's got a gun. How many guys have a boomerang? It's like 2-3 guys.
Right.
A couple Australians. That's about it. You know, who else uses them? You know, so that was lame. I don't like the way he looks. I like that first level with the cave. I like the fact that he came in on the helicopter because that makes it's more cinematic.
It establishes the story.
I know you say you jump right in the action, but the helicopter's cool, man. You know, it's letting him in. The reviewers for this version were far fewer, and really though, generally gave it similar reviews. Amiga Format gave it an 87. Amiga Power gave it a 79, and the One gave it a 92. So it's not like it went out there and bombed. Now here's the wackier thing. Team 17 said that, and this has been repeated ad nauseum on the net. Every fact place I saw had this little tidbit. This was Team 17's least successful game they ever released. It had, and people lamented that it was just because there wasn't enough interest in the genre or whatever. But that's surprising to me, considering we've played some good games, we played some bad games. This is much more near the top than it is the bottom, and you know, I'm surprised.
And I think that you have to look at the, you know, Team 17. They've got quite a stable. So
that's true.
Even their least successful game probably still did okay.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But you know, I thought this game overall, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, is it perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, it needs music, better music. No offense.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's.
Brimble did he did the title screen. This is another one of those games where the music by Alistair Brimble. Yeah, he did the tune at the beginning.
I think he may have done the sound effects, or I don't know.
Yeah, he did the sound effects too. But
and the sound effects are good. But I mean,
in a run and gun platformer, you need to have something chugging along in the background to keep you, like hyped
I mean,
up.
I know you rag on Lionheart, but that music got you. You were ready to go in there and whoop a butt.
I will never say a bad thing about the soundtrack in Lionheart.
You know, I mean, a lot of games, the sound. And this is the Amiga. We need good sound while you're kicking all that booty.
We need a sound.
Right.
A song.
That much said, I did enjoy it. I'll give it high praise, and I would go back to it. It's a good game. You can run in and pick it up. There are cheats for it that will let you. I mean, not even using trainers. There are cheats that let you skip areas. So I mean, I'm not sure I want to go back and play through the whole game again, but there are certain areas I like. Like I said, the second one does have the advantage of being more palatable to play and like real quick. You know, you can get through a level and you don't have to go and wait around. But overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the power-ups. There weren't too many, and I give it the high sign. I looked this up on eBay, see how it was going. I looked both of them up actually. Now, if you're looking for the original boxed copy of Assassin, you're okay. I found them all day in the UK. I found 4 ranging from $20 box to $48 that had sold. That's pretty reasonable for
Yeah.
a box copy. If you want just the discs, $11, not bad. Now, if you want SE, this was a more difficult. I only saw one that had been around recently. Germany, $23 it went for. So I guess it's not a big seller if you can find it. But these are pretty reasonable for something that didn't sell that well. Like you said, it probably sold pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that was our look at Assassin. Now it's time to announce the winner of last week's Patreon song contest.
I want to know what the song was. You never told me.
Okay, so last week's song was Frankly Mr. Shankly by the Smiths.
Oh, yes, you did tell me. College music. We had that discussion.
Right. What Aaron dubs college music, what the rest of us dub just music.
No, they're with me.
So the winner of last week's song contest was Eric Nelson.
Oh, okay.
So Eric Nelson's favorite Amigos episode is Cannon Fodder.
Okay,
And so
yeah.
he wins this specially designed Amigos postcard that commemorates his win.
Who was the genius that designed that boat?
Well, I don't know. But whoever he is, he's really a master of his craft.
When is his art documentary coming out?
So if you would like to participate in the song contest, just send an email with your guess to john@amigospodcast.com. And Aaron, it's time for this week's song.
Oh, here he goes. Let a little bear with him here. If you'd like to send anything to the Amigos, just feel free to just send us a letter. We love it. Or send us an email, picture your dog.
We love feedback.
If picture of your dog if it's attacking you while you're throwing a boomerang at it, whatever you got. We love it. All right, this is it. This is for the big contest. You don't have the gimmick on it this week? Let me give you some room here.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's go.
Dan Ross, Leaf Kellogg, Alan Kilbob, Donald Tyler, Lever Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perrone, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Vicky CTZ, The Slow Norris, Mendo 75, Christopher Hassel, Rabbi Abbott, Chris Pools, Green Catcher. Lois, Juru, Grant Bed, Pippin, Dowdy, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Veteran Vivid, Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Anthony Giovanni, James from the Crib, Josh Nat, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THG. Nelson, Kim, Tommy, Humberstein, Daniel Branston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles and Jason Wong, Stefan Sorgan, Mortensen, yeah, Will Williams, Kjol, Bjorn Barman, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THG, just in case I didn't get a chance to sing those. I can't remember.
Oh, man. You had something good going there, and then what the heck happened there at the end? You really got into that one, Boat.
Well, thank you.
You were frightening the chat.
That's my goal in life, is to frighten the chat.
That was quite a performance. Do you ever perform live, Boat?
Just here on Amigo Studios.
So this is like a weekly pay-per-view for free.
For free.
Not bad.
All right.
He has to compose himself, ladies and gentlemen. That's what. Take a deep sigh.
If you would like to be part of that illustrious list of names, feel free to support the Amigos at patreon.com/Amigos podcast.
Wow. That took a lot out of you, didn't it?
It did. I'm like Joe Cocker.
Yeah, well, I agree with part of that. You could also just say, if you'd like to defame a classic rock song, feel free to contribute to our Patreon, where Boat will ensure that your name is plastered all over.
It's hilarious to be like when it's a song that you know.
I know that one.
I know. I knew you'd know it. You're totally joyful and into it, but when it's a song you don't know, you're like, nobody will know that.
I was
That's crap.
joyful. I was joyful.
Even though both of those songs
Come
are
on,
about
the
the
Smiths.
same.
No, come on.
Yeah. Who were they really?
That's right. Finally, we agree on something.
All right, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Next week we're going to be talking about a new game.
We are?
Yeah. But before we talk about what that new game is,
Okay.
I just wanted to remind everybody that we record live every week, and except for the times that we don't, on YouTube. So we'd love it if you join us.
Yeah, man. We
Just
always have a
like
good crowd.
The fine folks in the chat right now, like Pishbot, Henrik, Gary, Duncan Stiles, Treyguard, Adam Battersby himself, Paul Harrington, Brian Pope,
You
Pixels at
you
Dawn.
scared Pope.
Yeah, well,
You scared the Pope.
I scare the Pope often. Yeah, tons of people
Horrible
here.
Catholic.
Neil Overman, Ricky DeRocher. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us in the chat. And as always, we'd love to have you. So next week, Aaron,
Yeah.
we are going to be doing a new game, and that new game is...
Guess what? Scrambling to look at our list.
Oh, shoot. Come on. It is Benefactor.
Benefactor.
Yeah, Benefactor. So this game is chosen by Amigos Game Selection Committee member Pixels at Dawn, who's here with us in the chat right now.
Have we looked at Benefactor before? I don't mean on the show. I mean, was that one of the ones we...
I haven't, but you might have.
I don't think I've ever played Benefactor.
Yeah.
You are my benefactor, Boat.
Well, that's... thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to leave you all my sweaters.
And welcome Leaf Killon to the chat for maybe the first time. So, thank you. All right.
What?
I just saw his name pop up. I wanted to say hello.
Your stream of consciousness scares me sometimes.
All right, Aaron, let's get out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, adios.